I told you the man who painted the Mona Lisa also imagined helicopters, tanks, parachutes, and even robots? Over 500 years ago. What if the world's most famous painting took 14 years to finish? And what if Leonardo da Vinci's greatest masterpiece wasn't a painting at all, but the way he saw the world? This is the incredible story of the greatest genius in history. Leonardo da Vinci was born on April 15th, 1452, in the small village of Vinci, Italy. He wasn't born into a wealthy or noble family. In fact, he was the illegitimate son of a lawyer and a peasant woman. Most people expected him to live an ordinary life. Instead, he changed history forever. As a child, Leonardo asked endless questions. Why do birds fly? Why does water move the way it does? How does light create shadows? Unlike other children, he didn't just accept answers. He wanted to discover them himself. Drawing became his favorite way to understand the world. He sketched animals, plants, mountains, rivers, anything he could observe. People quickly realized this boy was different. At the age of about 14, Leonardo moved to Florence and became an apprentice in the workshop of the famous artist Andrea del Verrocchio. The workshop was more than an art studio. It was a place where artists learned sculpture, engineering, architecture, mechanics, metalworking, and painting. Leonardo absorbed everything. According to a famous story, Verrocchio asked Leonardo to paint one of the angels in the baptism of Christ. When the painting was finished, Leonardo's angel looked so alive and beautiful that people claimed Verrocchio never wanted to paint another angel again. Whether the story is completely true or not, one thing is certain. Leonardo had already surpassed expectations. But painting wasn't enough. Leonardo believed that to create true art, you first had to understand life itself. He secretly studied human anatomy. At night, he dissected human bodies to learn how muscles moved, how bones connected, and how expressions formed on a person's face. He produced hundreds of incredibly accurate anatomical drawings, centuries ahead of medical science. He even studied babies developing inside the womb. His notebooks were filled with discoveries no one else had seen before. Leonardo's notebooks contained thousands of pages. Inside were ideas for flying machines, helicopters, parachutes, bridges, armored vehicles, giant crossbows, even mechanical robots. Most of these inventions couldn't be built with the technology of his time. But many centuries later, engineers realized just how accurate many of his ideas really were. Then came the painting that would make him immortal. Around 1503, Leonardo began working on the portrait we now call the Mona Lisa. Most artists finished portraits within weeks or months. Leonardo spent about 14 years refining it. He never considered it truly finished. He carried the painting with him almost everywhere he traveled. Why? Because he constantly noticed tiny details that could be improved: a softer shadow, a gentler smile, a smoother transition between light and darkness. He invented and perfected a technique called sfumato, making colors blend so gradually that no hard lines were visible. That's why Mona Lisa's smile seems to change every time you look at it. It isn't magic. It's Leonardo's understanding of human vision. One person who witnessed this perfectionism better than anyone else was Francesco Melzi. Melzi became Leonardo's favorite student when he was a teenager. But he wasn't simply an assistant. He became Leonardo's closest companion, trusted friend, and eventually the guardian of his life's work. While Leonardo focused on endless experiments and ideas, Melzi carefully organized thousands of pages of notes and sketches. Without him, much of Leonardo's knowledge might have disappeared forever. When Leonardo died, he left most of his notebooks to Melzi. Those notebooks later became one of the greatest collections of scientific and artistic ideas in history. In many ways, Melzi helped preserve Leonardo's legacy for the entire world. In 1516, King Francis I of France invited Leonardo to live in France. The king admired him not just as an artist, but as one of the greatest minds alive. Leonardo spent his final years at the Château de Clos-Lucé, continuing to sketch, invent, and teach. Although his right hand became weaker after what historians believe was a stroke, his curiosity never faded. On May 2, 1519, Leonardo da Vinci passed away at the age of 67. Some legends claim the French king held Leonardo in his arms during his final moments. Whether that story is true or not, the respect people had for him was undeniable. More than 5 centuries later, Leonardo's influence is everywhere. Artists study his techniques. Doctors admire his anatomical drawings. Engineers recognize ideas that predicted modern technology. Scientists appreciate the questions he asked long before anyone else. Leonardo once wrote, "Learning never exhausts the mind." Perhaps that's why his legacy continues to inspire millions. He didn't become the greatest genius because he knew all the answers. He became the greatest because he never stopped asking questions. Don't miss the next story. Subscribe, share, and be part of our journey.